We're going to try to sneak a couple more questions in. Alex, we're going to go to you, and then Nummy, we're going to go to you.
Ryan, this has been super awesome. Thank you being for so vulnerable. I'm a huge football fan. I'm a Commanders fan, so go Redskins, now Commanders. I feel like there's so much more like emphasis on players, like almost like being just toxic, like the Brandon Ayuk's and Antonio Browns and all these, like there's so many, and then like the NFL perpetuates it by picking them up. If you're good for a little while, it's all about talent. I'm curious about, my question as your identity, like your identity was a football player like your whole life, and I'm sure like you with resilience you had to like let go of a lot of stuff. So what did you have to like let go in that identity, and also like what was like some of your biggest moments of joy playing football? Like
yeah, that's the biggest thing, the transition, right? You've been something your entire life, and all of a sudden your identity is not that anymore. Imagine too that the identity is a failed version of that to everybody. Like you've sacrificed everything, you've been this your entire life, and now you're a failed version of that to the masses as an identity. So, and I can tell you right now, I know guys that played 20 years and won a couple Super Bowls, and they don't feel like they did enough too. Like there's a real grieving process that has to be initiated, and every NFL player should seek some sort of professional help and therapy when it's all said and done. You cannot walk through that alone. You can't expect a spouse who's only known you that way. All of a sudden you're at home all the time a lot of them think that they have all this money and that will allow the change and the transition to be eased. And it doesn't. In fact, it exacerbates it quite significantly. So, again, I rushed into things. I transitioned poorly. I became a drug addict. I went to prison. Like I got force fed. Either you fix it or you die on the vine here. And so incredibly grateful for that for me. And a lot of individuals, they don't. They just kind of lie in the weeds of not knowing what to do, how to go about it, and where to help find positive change. And so that's what my work with the Menninger Clinic has really been about. We work with a ton of former players through that process. Anytime I'm down there quarterly, there will be anywhere from 8 to 12 new former NFL players that are there because of their association with our union in the Menninger Clinic. So that's where I get to do that part of it. I can remember some joyous things from football, but it's like none of that stuff's important. There's always somebody new that comes along, and records are meant to be broken. And, I don't necessarily, my son's just starting to realize collecting football cards and stuff like that. And he thinks his dad's the best quarterback to ever play. But
I asked him that question. I said, "Who's your favorite football player?" He's like, "Ryan Leaf, my dad, of course."
Yeah. And so we had a talk the other night in bed about, hey, I love that you think that I'm the greatest. And, but my professional career was not very good, but in terms of, so if you start to hear that in the next few years, it's important to know that it's rooted in truth. They're not trying to be mean, and it's okay that you just love your dad. You don't have to, just because he was a good football player once doesn't make him any more special than being the guy that you knew before you even really knew about football or anything like that. And so we had a good talk about that. But sure enough, we were pulling cards the other day, and he pulled a Peyton Manning, and I'm like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "Peyton Manning. He's the second best quarterback ever." And I go, "Who's the best?" And he's like, "You." And I said, "Oh," I go, "Oh," and he's like, "Tom's," and he goes, "Tom's third." And I thought that was funny. Kids and their dads, man. I love it.